ideas of the community, creating an all-inclusive environment where people of Atlantic City can actively participate in the economic revitalization of Atlantic City's future. This forum will focus on black and white capitalism, working together to create red, white, and blue capitalism. Every Monday from 5 to 6 p.m. on WEHA 88.7 and 100.3 FM. WeHaveGospel.com. The Jimmy Whitehead Power Hour. Power to the people.
There's been so many things that's held us down, but now it looks like things are finally coming around. I know we've got a long, long way to go, and where we'll end up, I don't know. But we won't let nothing hold us back. We're putting our show together, we're polishing up our act. And if you've never been held down before, I know you refuse to be held down anymore. Well, don't you let nothing stand in your way. I want y'all to listen to every word I say, every word.
Good afternoon. Oh, wait. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, Atlantic City in America, and Ramadan Mubarak. Wish everybody many blessings during this special holy month. This is the Jimmy Whitehead Power Hour, and my partner Derek Brock is with us today as always, and we have a very special guest, Carol Ruffew. Carol Ruffew is going to be joining us from. Oh, she's already on? Okay. Well,
I'm on.
Hello, Carol. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Good evening. Good evening, Carl.
That's Derek Brock. Carol, say your last name. Carol, are you there?
Yeah, I'm kind of hearing an echo.
Oh, she got a little echo. Probably turn it down inside. That's my fault.
Okay.
He gonna turn it. Is that better?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, that's better. Okay, that's better.
Yep.
Okay, so Carol, say your last name. Ruffew. Oh, that's what Derek Brock said. So Carol Ruffew, you wonderful, powerful lady in Atlantic City, and we love you so much. Tell us who Carol Ruffew is, and tell us a little background about your magnificent organization.
Okay, well, as of right now, I'm president of the Chelsea Neighborhood Association. I've been active in the association for over 15 years. And that's one thing I want to clarify from one thing that you set out in your email is for years I was the corresponding secretary, but I was very active. And I'm not a founder of the Civic Association of Atlantic City United. I'm one of 5 people.
Okay.
And it was 4 presidents of the Civic Associations, and I represented as the secretary, the Civic Association of Atlantic City United. And this was over 10 years ago when an issue came up. It was right before the real estate crash in, 2005, 6, whenever it was.
Mm-hmm.
At any rate, out of those 5 presidents, the 2 founding members that are still left and active on that still board of all the Civic Association presidents are myself and Libby Wills from the First Ward Civic Association.
Mm-hmm.
So we were the only 2 founding members that are still active.
Wow.
And we hung in there for a while. So, that's that. My background is I was born and raised in Atlantic City. My great-grandparents were the original settlers of Ducktown in the 1800s.
Wow.
My grandfather grew up to be mayor. He was mayor in 1927 when Convention Hall, now known as Boardwalk Hall, opened. So I have really deep roots here.
Yes, you do. Wow. Bravo. That is amazing. I didn't know that. Okay, you're giving us some good information.
Now, Carol, this is Derek Brock speaking. I'm sorry, did you mention Ruffew Ford? Now, how were you affiliated with that?
Ruffew Ford was owned by my uncle, Bill Ruffew, who was my father's brother, and my father worked there.
Okay.
And they were sons of the mayor.
Okay. Well, Carol, we are glad you could join us today for the most important discussion of the history of Atlantic City, what's going on with this unethical illegal casino-funded referendum, and the vote no effort. So tell us some of the good work you've been doing in the Chelsea neighborhood to oppose this referendum, and just give us your thoughts on the whole process, and then we want to go over some of your frequently asked questions. So this is going to be your show, Carol. So tell us, what's your thoughts on this ridiculous referendum and our effort to abolish it and defeat it with this May 12th vote? No.
Okay, can you hear me clearly without cutting in and out?
Yes, we do. We hear you very clearly. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. So back in the summer, I guess late summer, when all of this started, the Civic Association's presidents got together, and it wasn't even any debate. We just all automatically, unanimously agreed that we were not going to support any change in government that did not include all 6 wards.
Mm-hmm.
The 6 wards is where the residents and the voters and the neighborhoods are.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and when Jim Johnson did his whole report on Atlantic City, he found the heart and soul of Atlantic City when he finally got around to talking to the Civic Association presidents.
Mm-hmm.
After going through everybody else that he talked to in Atlantic City to come up with this implementation report, he found out that what had to be addressed first were the associations and the neighborhoods where the people lived.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a tourism district that has casinos, and then there's our neighborhoods. To support a change of government that does not have every single ward at the table to represent every single neighborhood is not a good thing.
Yeah.
So that's one of the first reasons that we were, probably the main reason we were opposed to it. So as things progressed and went on, one of the members of the Chelsea Neighborhood Association was very brilliant that she came up with a PowerPoint presentation about what was wrong with this change in government.
Mm-hmm.
And you just, I mean, you can talk about corruption and everything that you want to talk about, but that has nothing to do about the form of government. It's
right.
The people that are elected,
right.
No matter what form you have.
Right.
So, at any rate, when we all started getting together, and actually, the owner of resorts called Jim Johnson and wanted to talk to the residents.
Mm-hmm.
So who did he call but me and Libby?
Mm-hmm.
Because we serve on the executive council.
Right.
So we went over and talked to him.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just going on, and I said, I'm sorry, Mr. Bailey, but we are not going to support any change in government that doesn't include representation from all 6 wards.
Right.
End of story.
Right.
So then when we got back to moving on to the next thing and the next thing, it was we got together and they did their petition. I saw petitions that were signed by people that lived in Ventnor, New Jersey. I saw things signed, certain lines signed with people from North Jersey, whatever.
Yeah.
Long story short, forget about that.
Yeah.
They had enough signatures. They only needed 900 and some.
Uh-huh.
Just like when we did the Save the MUA.
Right.
Our goal was to get 1,200 signatures. Or we thought we needed 1,200 signatures. Our goal was to get 1,500 signatures, and we got 2,341 or something like that.
Right.
So for them to get 3,000 registered voter signatures, to me, was like impossible.
Yeah.
Well, it was impossible, but they still got the 900 that they needed, so everything else was moot. So then when it came down to that was settled, and we're going to move forward to and go to a special election. I got a phone call Well, first of all, we went to the meetings. The Civic Association leaders went to the meetings. When I say leaders, I'm talking most of the boards of the Civic Associations, not just the presidents, and also members. And we went to, there was one in City Council chambers, then they moved to the All Wars Memorial, and we were there.
Oh, yeah, we were there.
And it was like we weren't even getting introduced, so to speak. We were just there.
Right.
So as things moved on, and they had a petition that was going to be on the ballot, there was no interpretation statement.
Wow.
So we had support, just like we did to save the MUA, from the Appleseed, New Jersey Appleseed, and the NAACP. So now we had a local person draw up an interpretation statement who sent it to, well, first of all, let me back up a little.
Okay.
We started going out to the civic associations with a PowerPoint presentation made by this volunteer in Chelsea Neighborhood Association. Every single civic association we went to from all five of them, fans wanted change. And okay, we know they want change.
Yeah.
But just changing your form of government is not going to change the people that get elected. And
Yeah.
you can't control the people that get elected and whether they're going to be indicted for anything.
Right.
You're not going to change that in a change of government.
Yeah.
So what's wrong about this change of government, which we've put out there, is they want to take us back to a municipal manager form of government
Yeah.
from 1923.
Right.
So, okay, the important thing here is that what we found out from all the civic associations, everybody wants change. So how are we going to make this change happen that supports the voters and the residents and the business people in Atlantic City? And it's not going back to 1923, that's for sure.
Right. That's for
So
sure.
after we realized that everybody wants change, our focus was to get out the no vote against this 1923 form of government and to be able to get together as residents, not outsiders, not people that are living in North Jersey or running casinos or big unions that are putting money into their campaign, but us, the voters that live here and are paying the high end of the taxes right now. Because when we first voted for casino gaming back in the 1970s, we were told that within 20 years, Atlantic City residents will never have to pay taxes.
Wow.
It'll all be paid for by gambling. Well, look where we are now.
Let me ask you this,
They
Carol.
get a break if their income goes down, but we don't.
Yeah, let me ask you a question, Carol. When you first started working against this vote no back then with Miss Libby, at that time, did you engage the city hall officials, the mayor, the city council members, and others to ask them to work along with you to protest and work against this thing?
Well, what happened was we did, like I started to say, we went to the one that was in city council when you were there, the Democratic committee was there, and the mayor was there, and we were there. We were kind of introduced last.
Yeah.
So, but we were there listening to what was going on.
Right.
And we are non-profit, non-political civic associations. The civic associations were started back in the 1970s to get away from the wards and the ward captains and all that political going around that was happening so that we could have associations that were non-political.
Right.
We don't endorse anybody. We don't support anybody in any of the elections. Individuals can, but we as an association, out of all five of us, don't endorse a candidate.
Right.
Okay, so when all this was going down, and then it came to where they didn't have it in I know. I got a phone call from Sam Lashman, who's an attorney. And I happen to know him because he was an attorney in a case for me many, many years ago. And he started asking me questions, and I said, Sam, we're not going to get involved with anything. Who are you representing? He said, well, there's a group that's going to put up a suit to stop the whole election. And I said, well, who? He said, well, I can't tell you. I said, well, I'm not answering any of your questions.
Right.
And it came out to be the Democratic Committee, which is there's a Democratic Committee, and there's one side of the fence and the other side of the fence. So the Civic Associations United backed out. They would not support any type of lawsuit or anything. We were not going to get involved with the Democratic Committee. We were going to work and not get involved with the mayor and councilors committee. We were going to work independently for the same end result as they were, to get the no vote out.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't want anything to do with any political connections.
Okay.
And that's what we've been doing, and we've been steady on that from the very beginning.
Gotcha.
And we send out more information and give more information out than anybody that's out there, like our frequently asked questions. I mean, our frequently asked questions that we sent out to our members was better than what the county clerk sent out.
Yeah, we have it here.
And
Yeah,
I'll tell you, it took us a lot to be able to get the answers to these questions, to reaching out to the people all the way up from the county to the state. And if anybody wants to blame anything on what's happening in Atlantic City, they got to blame the state. The city hasn't been running the city in how many years?
Well,
You know, they took over and was going to make everything better, get rid of crime, or an elected official.
Yeah, Derek Brock.
Nothing's going to change in Atlantic City if you don't change who you vote for.
Yeah, Derek Brock has a question for you.
No, I just wanted to
Make a comment?
Yeah, just wanted to comment on what she's saying. First of all, I want to thank you for being engaged in this effort to get rid of this referendum, and all your members and your neighborhood residents. I think this has been one of those good bad things, I would say, because this to me has united us as residents and citizens of Atlantic City like never before in my lifetime, because this affects every one of us. So I just want to thank you for your efforts before we get too far into this, because I really appreciate knowing that there are people out here that really know what's going on and putting up the good fight.
Well, the civic associations have kept the mayor informed on everything we were doing. When we told him that we had an interpretation statement, he said, "Oh, well, you got to work with our lawyers are working on that also." And I said, "Okay." And we knew Mr. Tarver. He helped us with through in conjunction with Appleseed on that Save MUA. Well, we send our interpretation statement. That's the interpretation statement. It's going to be on the ballot when you vote and you get your mail-in ballots. I'm going to vote for the first time in my life, and I've been voting a lot of years, by a mail-in ballot, and I can't believe it.
But listen to this. Now, today, there was an article that came out regarding the mail-in ballots. And the last time we were here, we were discussing the potential problems with this mail-in ballot.
Shenanigans.
And now that today that this article is coming out, that their mail-in ballots were being found tossed to the side in different parts of the state, it's really becoming alarming that we could find ourselves being disenfranchised in that way as well. Now,
Jimmy, you're cutting in and out on me. I'm sorry. I don't know.
Okay, that's Derek. Derek is talking. Yeah, he was talking to you about how the ballots have been found around the city in boxes and under shelves. No, but the ballots are not being delivered to the voters.
Well, that was our concern, because what if they go to a house that's vacant, or what if something doesn't get delivered to somebody?
Right.
What if people are getting double ballots? I didn't get a ballot today.
Yeah, we didn't either. Did you get one, Derek?
No, I haven't gotten one. But now, from my understanding, you can actually go online and download a ballot. You can download a ballot online.
for this vote by no?
I believe you can. Yeah.
I don't know if you can because it's connected with your name and your voter registration number.
Okay.
Because I called to see if I could go pick up some ballots in Cape May and bring them back to people. No, you can't just get them generically like that.
Yeah, see, now that right there is very concerning.
Yeah.
Well, what our concern is if there's ballots that are not getting delivered, and if there's ballots that are in mailboxes of homes that people are not living in, because there's a lot of abandoned properties, who's picking them up and filling them out and sending them in?
Well, yeah, and when we're going to take a short pause for the cause, and when we come back, Carol, we're going to dive deeper into this situation where the postal delivery service has not been delivering these vote by mail ballots to the voters, and they've been found in boxes sitting off in a shelf somewhere, etc. And we want to find out what's your thoughts in terms of us partnering as a community service initiative and filing something with either the FBI and Department of Justice to begin a Department of Justice investigation now, not wait until May 12th. But let's start the investigation now. So we're going to come right back. Hold your point, Carol. We're going to come right back in a few seconds.
Okay.
Go ahead, Steph. We'll take a little break for the cause.
There's been so many things that's held us down, but now it looks like things are finally coming around. I know we've got a long, long way to go, and where we'll end up, I don't know. But we won't let nothing hold us back. We're putting our show together, we're polishing up our act. And if you've ever been held down before, I know you refuse to be held down anymore. Well, don't you let nothing stand in your way. I want y'all to listen to every word I say, Ain't no stopping us now. We're on the
All right, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Atlantic City. This is the Jimmy Whitehead Power Hour on WEHA 88.7 FM, where we're spreading the gospel one song at a time, and we're representing the community every hour of the day. We have a special guest with us today, Miss Carol Ruffew, who represents the Chelsea Neighborhood Association, and she's sharing some information with us, historical information, current information, and future information about how we're going to address this vote no election coming up on May 12th. And before we jump back into it, Carol, because we were just talking about, before we jump back into it, I want to ask everybody in Atlantic City, support WEHA. They have a program called 8 for 88. You can subscribe and support the Atlantic City gospel station that represents the people every day, spreads God's word. And again, it's only $8 a month. And if you go to their website, the WEHA website, please support this station, because this station supports us constantly. www.wehavegospel.com. So that's www.wehavegospel.com. 8 for 88. And when I go home, when I go back to my place today, I'm going to do the first sign up. I should have signed up months ago. But today when I get back, I'm going to sign up 8 for 88. And I want to challenge everybody in Atlantic City to do the same. So, Carol, we're back with you now. Are you there, Carol Ruffview?
Yep.
So, tell me, what are your thoughts about starting an investigation with Department of Justice now?
Well, let me ask you something. I moved to another section of my house because you were kind of cutting out. So, I just want to ask you, did you say there was an article, or how did you find out about these ballots that were not getting delivered?
Yes, there was an article today that was forwarded to me by Jimmy today regarding this issue, and I'm going to see if I can pull it up right now while we're here.
Press article?
No, I don't believe it's the press. I'm going to tell you in 1 second so you'll be able to take a look at it.
Yeah, it might have been the New York Times or something.
I'm going to pause for a second, guys.
Okay. He's going to pull it up for you, Carol, but basically there was an article out, and it actually showed pictures where they said that the May 12th vote, people are waiting for their vote by mail ballots, and they were taking pictures where postal delivery guys are just taking boxes of ballots to the apartment where they're supposed to deliver them to the people, and they just sit them in the corner somewhere. They don't even put them in the people's mailbox.
Yeah, this was actually in the NewJerseyGlobe.com.
Oh, you maybe like in the high rises uptown?
Yes, the title of the article is,
or whatever.
The title is Reports of Vote by Mail Ballots Undelivered Tossed Aside by Postal Workers.
Yeah.
Can you forward that to me, please?
Yes, we will. Yes, we will. We'll forward it to you, and we forward it to some friends in D.C. also, because it says the ballots are being tossed aside by the workers. So my thing is, since Bob McDevitt is an unethical guy, we already know that, and he's connected with union, could it be possibly that the union guys are working together to kind of prevent the people from getting their ballots? I don't know.
And then what if someone just walks in the building and picks them up and takes them and fills them out?
Exactly.
Well,
This is...
Let me find out, but I just would like to see the article, and before I make a statement of what we should do, I need to know where it's coming from and see the pictures, and maybe we should, if it's housing authority buildings, let Tom Hannon know what's going on and get a stop to it.
Well, based on the article today I read, it said that it's basically affecting people that live in buildings the most.
Yeah.
Because people that typically live in homes, theirs are being delivered to their mailboxes. But people that live in buildings, they're just leaving them stacked in the doorway.
In the lobby?
In the lobby somewhere, yeah.
Yeah.
That's in the lobby where the mailboxes are. Well, I will follow up with, we have more high-rises in the 5th and 6th Ward from the Ritz all the way down to the Warwick.
Yeah.
Then I can make enough phone calls to find out if anything like that happened in their buildings.
And we'll work with you, Carol. And before we go further, I want to say something. Earlier, I was very frustrated when I addressed this issue, and I was saying that, I was speaking the truth. I was saying that, we haven't heard enough from the mayor. We haven't heard enough from the city council members other than Kaleem Shabazz and LaToya Dunstan and Councilman Zia and Councilman Moshe. But everybody else has not been vocal enough. I mean, it seems like, to me, Carol, give me your opinion, when something this critical is going on, that's dealing with the people's vote, don't you think that the mayor and the city council members should be on the radio, on the news every day, sending out press releases, social media, Zooms, etc., to work to get people to vote no? Do you think there should be more activity in terms of our local leadership to fight and defeat this referendum? I'd like to know your opinion.
It depends. And I'm going to be honest with you. Councilman Kirch has been very active.
Very active, yes. I showed him. Yeah, he has been. He's been wonderful. I showed his brochure that he spent his own money.
He had signs. I said, you can put a sign on.
Yes.
Because I don't put signs on for campaigns, for, candidates. But people don't go to waste money on signs right now.
Yeah.
People aren't out and driving around.
Yeah.
So and there are some people that have an attitude, or not an attitude, but maybe that's what it is. But they think, these guys are just trying to save their jobs.
Yeah.
And I don't think that is, especially with Jesse and Zia and Marty, and with all of them. I don't think they're trying to save their jobs because they ran for office to have this position to help and run the city of Atlantic City.
Well, everybody didn't run for office to have a position that they have right now, but I hear what you're saying.
No, I know, but so council people, I think the council people that we have to look at are the council people at large, because they don't have, Jesse is our council person in the 6th ward. Kaleem's in the 3rd ward. Libby's, or not Libby, Libby should be. But, that you have people that are in wards that take care of the people in the wards. And the one thing that they asked us, I'll tell you, the Atlantic City Press invited myself and Mayor Marty Small for a editorial interview together. And we went. And bits and pieces of it were published because we stood together against the no vote.
Mm-hmm.
And they kept saying, well, why do you think it, how do you know it won't be better? How do you know it won't be better? Because you're taking away the right for the referendum. We are losing our right for referendum. We're going to lose, the voters will lose any input that they have into their own government. It's the worst thing that could happen. Do we need change? Yes, but not to 1923. If that form of government was so great, how come only 6 municipalities in all of New Jersey use that form of government? There are other forms of government that could be a manager-council form of government, a manager-commissioner form of government, a commissioner, a business administrator form of government, which Egg Harbor Township has. That is something that we could live with because it's under the Faulkner Act, and the people still have right for referendum, and they still have the right to come up and speak as a group if they don't like something that council or commission does.
Well,
that's the main thing that is wrong with the change of government to this particular form of government. We have to vote no.
Well, Carol, I'm going to tell you something. Even if the mayor and the city councilman wanted to be selfish and wanted to work against vote no so they can keep their job, I would take that. I would take anything anybody could do to work against this thing right now. But I just don't see the outrage. I don't see the outrage of City Hall to work against this vote no petition. I just don't see it. I don't know if people have cut deals and they said, well, let us get the vote yes thing through, and then we're going to appoint you to have a position. I don't know. But it's just not enough outrage for me, and I just come from a place in life where when I see things that need to be done for the community, working with people like Marion Barry in the past and with the NAACP and SCLC and other organizations, we get outrageously active. We don't go so quiet. It was too quiet for something that's so important that everybody is not burning it down.
Well, this is what I want to say. I think this is
NAACP is out. They're supporting.
Yes, they are.
The no vote.
Kaleem is doing a great job.
This is what I want to say about this, though. I think this.
So is the Civic Association of Atlantic City United. I can't speak for anyone else, but I know that we're out there and we're doing what we need to do.
Yes, you are.
We're reaching more people that we don't have to worry about a stupid editorial in the press.
Yes, ma'am. Derek wants to ask you a question. Make a statement.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah. Well, I just want to make a statement in general, because, historically, Atlantic City has a very low voter turnout rate. And being that this is a vote by mail initiative where people literally don't have to actually go out to vote, they can do their vote at home literally and then maybe drop it off in the mailbox. This is, to me, is going to be a test of how important this is to the people too. To me, this is the way I'm going to look at it. Not just
if they can get their ballots.
Yes, if they get their ballots, but not just in terms of the council people and the mayor, whatever, but also the citizens, because to me, it seems like more citizens should be up in arms as well. See, there's a lot of people that don't really even know that this is going on.
Yeah.
So that's.
But you know where that starts, brother? It starts at the top. If you the mayor and you the city council member, you got a constituency base. You have mailing lists. You could be mailing your constituents and say, "Come on, let's turn this up, constituents. If you got the leadership, when you go in the Army, there's a captain, there's an admiral, and there's the enlisted.
I mean, I agree with that, but then there's also the community groups, like the Civic Association, and the NAACP, and whatever other groups that are out there. They need to be mobilized as well, because
I agree with you.
This is a responsibility that we all have to. If this was just in a regular election, then it'd be different, maybe a different mindset for me personally. Yeah. But to change the vote.
Derek, I absolutely agree with you, and trust me, the civic associations. And if you're not a member of the civic association, you should be, because the civic associations are sending things out every other week.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
With the no vote. And the
you
people that live in the high rises that are starting to come back from Florida, they already voted. They voted when we were supposed to vote for March, and they already did their absentee ballots.
Right.
But there's a lot of people in Atlantic City that never voted with an absentee ballot, and there's a lot of people that don't trust the absentee ballots because of things that have gone on in past elections. We have to get out now, take your absentee ballot, and vote, and show that you can win an election with an absentee ballot and not have to get involved in all the whatever that's happened in other elections. We, as the citizens of Atlantic City, the voters of Atlantic City, the residents of Atlantic City, the businesses of Atlantic City, have to come out strong against this no vote, like we did against the sale of our water company.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I'm telling you, if this happens and this goes through, this yes vote, we might as well all just pack up and leave Atlantic City, because we're going to lose our water, we're going to lose our rights for referendum, we're going to lose any representation on council, because there's going to be a certain few people that are handpicked. So there has to be, yes, we want change. We, as a residents and voters of Atlantic City, can make change in our form of government, but not because somebody from out of town, some senator, and you know what really aggravates me? The press totally insulted Senator Rice.
Yeah.
Who is so more, I mean, the Lesniak is supporting all this.
Yeah.
Senator Rice, who was a Vietnam veteran, who was in the Navy or whatever for so many years, came out against this whole change of government.
Yeah.
And what's going on?
Yeah.
And for them to say, well, he doesn't know about this and that. And he was in the middle of the whole civil liberty unions.
Yes.
Back in the 60s. You know, to insult that man like that in Atlantic City press, to me, was a disgrace.
You know, a good Democratic friend of mine's, Roger Minkoff, sent in a text. And he asked me to ask you this, Carol. Do you have some friends with the ACLU?
Yes, they helped us with the MUA.
Okay, well, they might need to be part of that group that we reach out to, including the Department of Justice, to start some type of initial.
We reached out to them with this. We reached out to them on this whole situation, but because it was political, they couldn't really do anything. But they would give us advice. Let's say it that way. Okay, it wasn't like saving the water, but it is about saving the water, and we are doing advertising and having support from the Food and Water Watch for doing social advertising. Our phone banking, they're supporting us in setting up our phone banking, which is starting this week also.
Right.
We're going to be calling everybody. And if you get a phone call and say, hi, Jimmy, this is Carol from the Chelsea Neighborhood Association, are you going to hang up on me? No. It's not a robocall with Don Guardian.
Right. No, I wouldn't.
You're going to get calls from the presidents and the residents of Atlantic City to their neighbors to tell them why they should vote no.
I think we have a caller calling in. Hold on a minute, Carol. Let me see what Steph says.
Well, while we're waiting, anybody wants to call in, dial 609-641-8870. That's 609-641-8870.
Yes. Continue, Carol.
Hello?
Yeah, you there, Carol? Or who's this?
Yeah. No, this is the caller calling in. Hey, Libby, my other co-founder.
Oh, Libby. Hello, Miss Libby. How you doing?
Fine. How Libby's from First Ward Civic Association.
Wow, first ward. So, Ms. Libby, let's welcome to WHA, and please share your thoughts on this subject matter with us.
Well, I'm like Carol. Of course, I want this here election. I want it defeated. I want a no vote. But the other thing I want to mention also is that in many of the areas of our country, the at-large voting is becoming rare because it's discriminatory.
Mm-hmm.
And people need to realize that. And please, do your own homework. Don't listen to all of this literature you're getting in, vote no with crime. Check with the police department and find out how what the crime rate is in the city.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people are listening to getting all of this information in, and they're not doing their own homework. I say do your own homework and vote no. The other thing that I will say to you, if you're not happy with what the people are doing at City Hall, vote them out of there
Yes, ma'am.
and get somebody else in there.
Yes, ma'am.
You know what I want to say? Well, you know what I want to add to that, Miss Libby, and thank you for calling in. Because you're right on the money, but I want to add to that. As citizens, we have a responsibility to do our due diligence with our local government as well. There should never be a thing where people never attend a city council meeting or never see what's on the agenda for a city council meeting, because that's something I learned to do, and that's something I got myself more involved. That's how I ended up here today, because once I started seeing how things were being done, I realized that I have to take more action as a citizen rather than keep blaming other people when I'm not doing anything but complaining. So,
and the other thing I want to mention also, while it's on my mind, is the fact that this group that's running wants this yes vote.
Mm-hmm.
They did not have the common courtesy or think enough of the Atlantic City people to have a forum to let them know why it is that they want this change.
Wow, exactly, yes. There was never any charrettes or any forums or anything with the community. Yes.
They did not.
Know that they were invited to the Civic Association meetings, and not only did they not show up, they didn't even reply and say they would or would not be there, correct?
Yes.
Wow. Well, I think we have another caller on. Who is on?
All right, take care now.
Thank you, Miss Libby.
Bye.
God bless you. God love you. Yes, caller, are you on? Do we have another caller on the line? Are you there? Okay,
It's me.
Yes. Who is this speaking, please?
Oh, that's Carol.
Okay, Carol. We'll try to reconnect with somebody that's...
This is Sheila Hull Freeman.
Oh, hello, Sheila Hull Freeman. How are you, ma'am?
I'm good. How are you today?
Good, good. God bless you. What is your thoughts on this referendum effort, madam?
I just want to point out a couple things. In reading this article, most recent editorial article in the press, there's a couple
Sheila,
points.
tell them who you are.
Yes, tell us who you are, Sheila.
Sheila is the president of Bungalow Park Civic Association.
Wow.
okay, thank you. Welcome, Sheila.
Hi, thank you for welcoming me and us this forum. I'm calling because there's several points that are being raised by this group that is purporting the change in government that are absolutely not true.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, this form of government is not going to enable the police department to more effectively reduce the rate of crime than they already have reduced it.
Mm-hmm.
The program that was instituted earlier this year that gave each ward neighborhood coordinating officers, we lovingly call them NCO officers, have really helped by getting to know the people in their respective wards and responding to them. This has brought down the crime rate, and Lieutenant Santiago, has a beautiful PowerPoint presentation that outlines it and offers all the numbers.
Really?
Secondly, one of the things we need to realize about this change in form of government is that it does not adequately address the needs of the change that the voters want.
Mm-hmm.
Trash pickup, crime reduction, change in the schools. What it does allow is that theoretically all 5 council members could be elected from the ward, even from the same household.
Right.
So It is not adequately, as Carol said before, and Carol and I work closely together.
Bravo.
It does not adequately give voters in every part of the city a chance to have any input into local government. If you abolish the wards, and I said this early on in this fight, it's an old cliche, but follow the money.
Hello.
Okay? What this form of government does is enable a select group of people to direct all of the city's resources into the tourism district and into other special interests. It leaves each ward, voters, residents, every corner of the city hanging out there. Okay, it doesn't offer us any sort of real relief, whether it's with property tax, whether it's with the abandoned home issue, which every single ward in this city faces, whether it's getting more resources into our school system, which, of course, we know how important education is as far as creating homegrown leaders and business owners, so on and so forth.
Yes.
This purported form of government is being aggressively sought after by outside interests from northern New Jersey and from casino operators. When you look at casino personnel like Mr. Bailey, who has invested his own money through a backdoor organization towards pushing this effort, this change of government effort. It's supposed to be illegal for casinos or casino personnel to be involved in any sort of political elections at all.
It's totally illegal.
So
yes.
How he found this backdoor to enable him to pour tens of thousands of his own dollars into this effort should indicate to folks in Atlantic City that there is a reason and that they expect to get a return on their dollars.
And I'm really disappointed in Don Guardian as well. You know,
I am extremely disappointed in Don Guardian because I want to say I am a die-hard, born and raised Democrat.
Yes.
And but I have to give credit where credit's due. And he did a lot of positive things for the city while he was in office in City Hall. And this is while battling the state and an often hostile city council. So, I mean, he gets all the credit in the world for those good things that he's done. But in this particular effort, in supporting this effort, he is wrong. I disagree with him.
He used the same democratic process to get elected. Right. He used the same democratic process to get elected. And then when Bob McDevitt and his boys come and talk to him about working against democracy, he flips the script. And he's probably the one that they want to appoint as mayor. You know, that superficial mayor they're going to put in there.
City manager.
No, they want Bob Devitt to be the city manager. They want the plantation master to oversee the city. That's what that's all about. But, you know, Don Guardian is a happy-go-lucky kind of guy, so he's not going to stir up anything.
In this change in form of city government, the mayor that would be appointed would really not have any ability to do anything
exactly.
but open parades, kiss babies, and shake hands.
Exactly, and that's all Don Guardian wants to do. Show up, you know, throw the roses, throw the flowers around, and just show up, you know, be fancy. So I agree with you. This is an abomination.
I will call to your remembrance that under his administration, he held our property taxes equal for the 4 years of his term, except for 1 year where we actually had a slight decrease.
Marvelous.
So, without saying anything about the man personally, the methodology, something about the methodology was right.
Oh yeah, I'm not gonna personally attack him at all, but I will say that this is all about the vote. The vote no.
Right.
And
it is all about the vote.
Yeah, it's all about the vote. He should have came out. He should have came out and say, I got elected by the democratic process, and I think the people of Atlantic City should maintain the democratic process and vote no. That's what Don Guardian should have done.
I agree. And I agree.
Can I get in here?
Sure, Carol.
Jimmy?
Yeah, Carol, go ahead, please. Carol.
Jill and I have been working together for a long time, and we get along really great. But the one thing I want to say here, between listening to your conversation with her, it doesn't matter whether it's a Don Guardian or Frank Gilliam or whoever.
Yeah.
Everything is run by the state. Our problems here are because the state's trying to straighten us out. And I will say that recently, since Jim Johnson and his report, things have been going a lot smoother. But still, we still don't have control. We can vote for whoever we want, but the state has the last say in everything. So let's not talk about this mayor or that mayor or what they did or what they didn't do. The whole thing is that we have to get the people out there to vote no. Yes, we will help all as a part of the whole entire group of the citizens of Atlantic City to make a change in government that works for all of us. Us. Not the people that wrote the whole
Casino Control Act.
The casino
Control Act
pilot program.
Yeah.
That was just people that work for the casinos on the boardwalk.
Mm-hmm.
But us, we got to take care of ourselves together in all the neighborhoods. No matter who's mayor or who's on council, we're the only ones that have control over that. We have to vote the people that are right.
You want to say something, Sheila?
Yes, to speak to Carol's point about the power program, one of the changes that they're saying we need is to stop this corruption. I want to remind everyone of what we already know. For the past 8 years, there has not been a check signed, an order placed, or a payment made that was not overseen by the state.
Mm-hmm.
Overseen and approved by the state. Mm-hmm. So stop throwing this corruption issue out there. Don't bring up past history that has no relevance right now today.
Right.
That whole corruption issue is a smokescreen, okay?
Absolutely.
And that's what the press keeps doing. The Atlantic City press does that.
Yeah, then you also have to realize too, we have new council people in there that they're very new people. We have Jesse wasn't even there, and we have two newer ones that hasn't even been in Atlantic City on council for not even a year, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Well, you ladies, we can't thank you, wonderful ladies, enough for the points you're making and the leadership you provide to the community of Atlantic City. And we want to keep this for the next 12 days. Well, I'm going to say the next 12 days, but it's a little more. We have got to be engaged every day up to May 12th. And we really would like to invite you, Derek Brock and I, you ladies and Miss Libby and some others, to be a part of this coalition to keep the people's right to vote, so that every day we need to have a social media interview. We need to send stuff out. Matter of fact, we are getting ready to send out about 20,000 mailers that we ordered. People will be getting in their mails. So we've already been spending some money. And we get ready to hit the ground with some heavy-duty, informative vote no literature and letters this week. But we need to get, you ladies have really been on the forefront. You're the godmothers of Atlantic City. You love Atlantic City so much. And while I agree with you, Sheila, that, unfortunately the state is overseeing the city, we still deserve the right to vote for who we want at the local level to be our representatives and our city council and our mayor. Even though the state is over there doing what they're doing, okay, we get it. And we'll work with that. But we still deserve the right to vote.
We appreciate you so much for giving us this forum. And what I would want to go on and say is, if you have anyone who's familiar with Jim Johnson's implementation plan, which the governor and lieutenant governor have endorsed, it indicates to us that the state has no interest really in being in Atlantic City. And that speaks to their efforts to educate and enable our local leaders to run the government.
Right.
As soon as they think they can, they will be out of here. But They just were not able to leave Atlantic City to its own devices prior to this point. But they're very interested in seeing us run the city ourselves. I also very much appreciate your efforts to get the information out there, because a comment one of you all made earlier about folks that still don't know what's going on regarding this issue in this town.
Right.
I encounter a lot of those people, and Carol could tell you that's a pet peeve of mine. I don't know if you're living under a rock or what you're doing, but this is an important issue. And if you have any questions about it, ask them. Folks that know about and understand the issues, share the information with your families, with your neighbors. This is a critical point in Atlantic City's history where, as you said, we have to come together and help each other, even if it's just the very basic point of understanding the issue and why it's so important to go out and vote no.
Yes, ma'am. And we're going to give the last 3 minutes to Carol Ruffew. Carol, what is your last statement here before?
I agree with Sheila, and that's why we're starting up now is our second phone initiative, so that the members of the civic associations and our volunteers throughout Atlantic City are going to be calling people personally, not just a robocall. Not something that you're going to hang up on because you're going to say, "Hi, I'm Sheila, President of Bungalow Park. I'm Carol Ruffew. You know, I'm Jimmy Whitehead. I'm this and that." And Jimmy, I will send you the connection to be part of our phone initiative, so that anybody that's working on your team can also be part of it. And it's like a 20th century thing that Food and Water Watch is helping us put together. And we will start this strong campaign that you're going to get calls from your neighbors, not a robocall or somebody from another state or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yes, Derek and I would like to follow up with you about some more of that, because Paul Bonds is somebody who's really being supportive of our Vote No effort. And Derek, you want to say something to Carol about what she just said?
No, I was just saying that's a great idea.
Associations have been out there promoting this no vote since August.
Well, what we're going to do, we want to thank you and Sheila and Miss Libby and everybody for tuning in. We beg everybody to make sure you vote your vote by mail before May 12th when you get your ballot. And when you do fill it out, we want you to do a Facebook Live challenge. We want you to actually see you doing a Facebook Live that you're filling out your ballot, so other people can learn what you're doing and how you're doing it. So with that, we're gonna end with Sean Rock. Sean Rock is our man who created a new anthem of the post-COVID New World Order, because Atlantic City is going to lead the rest of America in the world on how to do good and do well after COVID is over. So thank you very much, ladies. Thank you, Derek Brock. Thank you, Steph.
Thank you.
God bless WEHA, and God bless Atlantic City each and every day. Ramadan Mubarak.
I'm from a town where the dreams are big. Non-stop around the clock to find your means to live. History throughout the timeline. Casinos hit the skyline. A few comedy clubs got the tourists in love. Summertime beach bars make you feel like you a star. Windows crack down, AC Ave, the music blast. From the hip-hop shop to sneaker villa. Parties in the inlet, never forget they ain't a place filler. Every day is live from push carts to jitney rides. Boardwalk after dark, still peer with your peers. Soul food, the funnel cakes. Welcome to the Garden State. You gotta love this place, heart of the tri-state. From the landmark to land shark, barbecues in the park, battle by the bay, the city so full of spark. This is my city till death do us part. So no matter where I go, it's AC to the heart.
City, driving down the boulevard, show what we're made of. That's why they come from near and far. Atlantic City, casinos lit up in the dark. High stakes, we made it. We shining bright among the stars. Atlantic
City's known for more than saltwater taffy. We hurry hurricane survivors, Great Atlantic and Sandy. The world's playground, flood the coast with eye candy. Couple of May fellas suited up and sipping brandy. Real life Monopoly boards, so step aboard. Roll the dice, stroll the night, play at your own accord. Rich Uncle Penny bags, hustlers on every ave. A safe haven for gangsters, better protect your cash. We skip the prohibition to always serve the customer. Boats full of booze, run runners through the summer. Nucky Johnson at the Ricks, Capone taking flicks.
Gospel 88.7 WEHA. It's more than music. It's ministry.
WEHA, Port Republic, Atlantic City, and now on FM translator 100.3 W262CF, Atlantic City, Pleasantville.
This is Kaleem Shabazz, president of the Atlantic City branch of the NAACP. The NAACP is a civil rights and social justice organization fighting since 1909 to ensure that everyone is treated fairly in our nation. The NAACP does not endorse candidates. We do take a position on issues that impact social justice or civil rights. The May 12th special election in Atlantic City is an effort to negatively impact the civil rights of Atlantic City voters and will create a social injustice if approved. The NAACP encourages Atlantic City residents to vote no on the special election. The change of government will remove the ability of Atlantic City voters to have neighborhood representation, and the NAACP says vote no. The change of government would stop the voters from directly electing the mayor, and the NAACP says vote no. And finally, the change of government removes the voters' ability to have referendum and initiative, and the NAACP says vote no. When you receive your mail-in ballot, please fill it out, vote no, and place your ballot in the mail. Remember, vote no in the May 12th election in Atlantic City. Thank you.
Do you have an event coming up and need a facility? Well, let me tell you about Atlantic County's newest banquet facility, Beacon Hall, located in the heart of Egg Harbor City, right off the White Horse Pike. Beacon Hall is a full-service banquet facility that is 5,000 square feet with an attached parking lot. Book your conferences, book signings, birthday parties, bridal showers, baby showers, weddings, repasts. No event is too big or too small. You can book your next event by calling us at 609-965-4255 or email us at bookbeaconhall@gmail.com. That's BOOKBEACONHALL@gmail.com. Try Beacon Hall, where we turn moments into cherished memories.
Hello, I'm George C.
Hi, I'm Professor J.
You know why I like listening to the gospel on the radio? It's easy. You turn it on, turn up the volume, and you have gospel.
Listening in the car is cool, I guess, but I'm more into listening from my computer. I just type in the website, and I have gospel.
So whether you listen to gospel on the radio, on 88.7 FM, WEHA,
or on your computer on